what was the strategy on how you would prepare? Did you have anyone who you consulted on what you should prepare, how you should go about it? Because one step we've already learned that you took a gut choice which had a formula, but still, what was the strategy and how did you think you will become clear the exams?
So talking about my preparation strategy, I was pretty clueless like during my college time and even in my job when I was doing my job in Pune. It was only after I interacted with few of my seniors in my college who were already preparing and I got to know about Bajiram and Ravi for GS coaching. And I had decided to choose geography as my optional. So I came to know about Shabir sir's coaching. In 2016 June, I shifted to Delhi. From there, it started my process where I got to know about like Lakshmikant for the first time that it is a book for quality, and I got to know about the current affair materials. And believe me, I was pretty surprised for the first time when I held a particular coaching's monthly current affairs booklet, and I thought, oh God, it's like 80 pages
Yeah, yeah.
because
One
earlier I had
yeah,
from scratch. I started my journey, and the starting 1 year, the beginning 1 year or 1.5 year was quite grilling because honestly, I did not have much knowledge about economics or about the talk about any prelims or GS paper, and it was I was trying to understand the demand of the examination. The scene was when I came to Delhi, and believe me, in my very first attempt, I was like so sure that I'll give my 15 hours daily and I'll do this and do that, and I will like just crack this exam in my very first attempt. So that was my motive when I came here, and luckily I met Shabir sir, and I still have in my notes all his motivational quotes that he would tell us during the class that you guys, you are no lesser mortals now, or he would say that the journey that you have taken up you will see many lows and highs, but then that is how you have to juggle and you have to keep balance everywhere. So those were his thoughts and lines which helped me move throughout my journey. And uh, and also I gave a lot in my first attempt, like in my first year of preparation. I think I did like some 3 hours of GS coaching, some 3 hours of geography coaching, and then I came back home, and because it was everything was trial and error. So anyone who was giving some kind of advice, I was taking it up. So like Shabir sir said, go back home and make synopsis of all the class notes that we are doing today, because that is what you will be your revision, and that is how it will be ingrained in your mind. So I tried those things, and so like 6 hours of coaching classes, and back home it would be 4 or 5 hours of my self study. So my
wow.
first year was very much like that, because that is how you get accustomed and you get to know the concepts and you understand the concepts. Because reading the Hindu for the first time, it was kind of a nightmare because I would not understand what is happening or what news is important, which editorial to choose and what not. So all that process, I think. I try to have a lot of patience. That maybe like in starting, it took me like 2 to 3 hours to read a newspaper. But then I understood that maybe if I'll dedicate this much time now, maybe later on I won't be I would not be giving this much time, and I would be more familiar with the concepts. Others regarding the strategies, like I would add one more point. I would say just do not be very rigid in it.
Mm.
Like believe me, I have a whole separate notebook about my strategies. Like one day I would just pen down a schedule that within like 5 days I would be completing this and this and this, and then by the end of the day I realize that no, I have certain limitations, my capacity is not that.
Yeah.
So that is when you evaluate and assess your capability and limitations, and then you make certain amendments and changes. So I have done that many times, like when we start preparing, and particularly for prelims I would say, because the time, because we are preparing for mains and prelims together, and it is only like 2 3 months left before prelims, that we focus solely on prelims. And that is the time we have to revise all our current affairs, we have to do with all the GS topics, and also write take as many tests as possible. So that is the time when we need to evaluate and understand our limitations. Okay, so now what topics should I focus more on, which would like, where am I getting more accurate answers, what are my strengths and weaknesses, and if I can redeem my weaknesses, so how much time will it take, and if not, then can I leave this topic altogether, and how many questions like might come from this, and how much risk am I taking? So these are very personal and individual things which I think a person should keep on doing and
Yeah.
evolving oneself throughout this preparation. So do not keep your strategies or your process very rigid. Like at one point of time, you think that you cannot proceed further with this. Like something has suited me, and you people. Guys, all the aspirants, you might see like many people like me and the previous year toppers and whatnot. But then, whenever you are formulating any strategy, it should be very your very own. Like, just do not copy paste and do not do that thing.
See, most of the people say that you have to do smart work and not just hard work to clear this exam. And for that, guidance becomes important. You know, somebody to guide you, somebody to tell you what to study and how to study. Because this is one small analogy that you can use, that if you have to dig a well and you dig up a 1 kilometer square of area, actually you would have worked a lot by then,
Mm.
much more than the work that you might have needed to dig up a well, but still you would have not ended up with the result, right?
Right.
So only hard work cannot help you, it has to be smart work. Now this is one problem that I had also faced. To be frank, I did not have much of a guidance. I had some of the friends who were preparing for the exam a few months before me, only a few months. So even they were not, they did not have the best of ideas how to go about it. So the guidance was not best, it was more of a hit and trial throughout the journey. So I'll tell you, I read whole Norman Law. Norman Law is the name of the author who has written the book on world history. I read the whole book twice in my first attempt itself.
Okay.
Now, if you analyze previous year questions, they hardly ask one question from world history,
Oh,
and sometimes they don't even ask questions from world history. So
okay.
even though you have to cover it, you have to cover the topic. It should not be a thick book as Normal Law, that too which only covers less than half of the syllabus. Doubled efforts at many places.
Yeah.
That
Sorry.
was one problem. That was something, one mistake that I had committed. Some other mistakes here and there were like, while making notes, you learn to make notes, right? First time, in the first instance, I did not know how to make notes, so everything was jumbled up. You learn to make notes. So I flip flopped between online and offline tools. uh, if you ask me personally to recommend it, I will recommend making notes online on some software that is compatible with note making. There are two typical examples, Evernote and OneNote. I was using Evernote. So
Mhm.
it's better because you can edit things. There are things that change,
Mhm.
you will have to edit them. You will have to change data. You will have to change many things as time passes. In fact, you will learn things more, and you will know that what you knew previously is not something that's perfect. You need to modify it and make it something else. So it's
Right.
way easier for making online notes rather than offline notes. So these
Mm.
are some of the things that I would say one must do. There are just two sources that one must rely on all the time while preparing for this exam. One is UPSC syllabus, and the second is previous year questions.
Okay.
This is another mistake that I'm highlighting, and that's because we as students and we as candidates, we follow what coaching institutes generally ask. Now, I'm not saying that they are doing it with bad intention or anything. I'm nobody to comment on that part. What I'm basically trying to say is that we should prepare for UPSC exam and not for any coaching question paper, that at times distorts the vision. So what happens is, say a particular institute, if I join the test series of a particular institute whose name is XYZ, and XYZ institute goes on to ask me a lot of questions from a particular topic, but very less questions from another topic. I, as a student, end up studying a lot of the topic A, which the institute has asked a lot,
Yeah.
and less of topic B. And there is one comparison that I will give here,
Mhm.
which I also asked with many of my fellow,
Yeah.
friends and
Good. Yeah.
candidates who were preparing for the exam from 2013 to 2019. In last 7 years, Security issues is a topic of which UPSC has asked a total of 380 marks.
Okay.
Questions worth 380 marks have been asked from security issues, which comes down to 55 marks at an average. I'm talking about mains.
Right.
And compare it with modern history, I calculated it's 272.5 marks. So security issues has been
More
given
than
a
half.
weightage of, yes, 100 marks
Yeah.
extra in last 7 years.
Wow.
Yet, if you ask people which topic do they study more, the weightage given to modern history is not just more, it's disproportionately more. People
Okay.
seldom study security issues. People do not give it enough emphasis. Yes, modern history is asked in prelims also. But then in mains, security issues has higher weightage. We cannot ignore it. International relations, 50 marks standard every year. So last 7 years, it becomes 350 marks. Did people give it due weightage that it deserves? That is one distortion that people must correct. That is one distortion that they must look for, that they have to study for UPSC ultimately. So they should refer frequently to UPSC syllabus and UPSC previous year questions.